My people, Ayawide. Welcome to the Amamanson Network, and we're back again with Jamaican wise sayings, comic chat, Jamaican patois. If you love the Jamaican culture and you love Jamaican people and you love everything Jamaican, this is the place for you to start learning the Jamaican language. I refer to it as the Jamaican language. I actually think this is a legitimate language and it should be our official language, and English should be the second language. In my humble opinion, I love my Jamaican language and I love collecting Jamaican proverbs, the wise sayings of our ancestors handed down to us. This is one of my passions. And so I'm really happy to share with you. Every week we do 4 Jamaican wise sayings. So the first one that we're going to start with today is smile and nod. When a Jamaican said to you, smile and nod, just smile and nod, right? And this was popularized by one of our beloved Jamaican comedians. His name is Oliver Samuels. So he had a comedy series back in the 80s, in the 1980s, mainly in the 80s. And the series was called Oliver at Large. And Jamaicans love Oliver Samuels. He's our beloved, one of our most beloved comedians. And he was the one who popularized this saying in one of his skits, smile and nod, Muffy, smile and nod. So what we mean when we talk about smile and nod is basically similar to what people would say, grin and bear it, that English adage, grin and bear it. So it's when you are in a situation where you just have to bear it through, right? It's like you can't do any better in that moment. You have to bear through, as one of my relatives would say, take what you can get till you get where you want. So it's a similar thing. Take what you can get till you get where you want, or fake it till you make it. That's another. So all of those pretty much sum up the notion of smile and nod. So it's like you don't really agree with the thing, but you agree with it because you can't really do better in that moment. You grin and bear it. You smile and nod. You take where you can get until you get where you want, right? So you just suffer through it because you know that right in this moment you can't do any better. So it's not, you're giving the impression that you're okay, you're giving the impression even that you agree with what is happening, but you don't really agree with it. It's like you're biding your time. That's another way of saying it. Jamaicans have to say, it's all right, I'm just abide my time and I'm just hold my tongue and abide my time and I watch and wait until I can do better. And you see, when a Jamaican can do better, is when they reach the point where they can do better and they don't have to smile and nod anymore. Trust and believe you're going to know about it. They are going to make you know. All right? So we reach a time now where I'm not have to put up with your foolishness. I'm going about my business, or I'm going to do what me really want to do. Anytime the time comes when the smile and nod done, a Jamaican will certainly let you know, because we are very proud people. We pride ourselves in not putting up with foolishness. So even if we have to put up with your foolishness for a while, as soon as we can do better, we're going to put you in a place. We're going to make you know so we're only tolerating you for that time. Jamaicans are extremely proud people, right? We like to put people in their places. So even if for a while you have us in a little situation where we have to smile and nod, and you see we're skin with teeth, we're show you the teeth them, because we can't really do no better in that time. Trust and believe. Once the tables turn, once the coin flip, and we now have the upper hand, you're going to hear about it. We're not going to smile and nod anymore. But for the time being, this is how we're gonna do. Yes. Yes. All right. So the next saying is turn your hand make fashion. Right? So in Jamaica, we say, boy, we just a turn my hand make fashion, or she good man, she turn her hand make fashion. What that means is you turn your hand to make fashion. That's the literal meaning. You turn your hands to make fashion. And it basically is talking about situations where you make something out of nothing. You create magic out of nothingness from scratch. You work with the very bare minimum, and somehow you just find a way to make it awesome. So it can literally mean fashion, as in the clothes you wear, right? Um, you put this and that together, you mix and match until by the time you create that whole outfit, it's just spectacular. And some people just have that knack, they just have that skill, they have that thing about them where they're very creative and they can take nothing and make it into absolutely the thing. And to be honest, not everyone can do it, right? Not everyone can do it. You have to have the knack. So you might see the person out and about and they are dressed to their teeth. Jamaicans love to dress to their teeth. When a Jamaican step out, when we have a function to attend and we put ourselves together and we step out, best know that you cannot walk beside us, okay? And everybody can walk side of we when we step out, because we take pride in how we are put together. If you see a Jamaican man out on the road, them shoes well clean. One thing I can tell you about Jamaican men, them shoes, you don't play with them shoes. Them clothes, you don't play, you don't brush against them, you don't mess up them, don't do that. They take great pride. And you can come from very humble places, but when you step out on the road, as we say, when you touch the road, you will be well put together, right? You just have a knack. It's like we're born with that knack. You put a look at you can make the most humble, the most mundane, the most boring apparel just come to life by how you put it together. The turn your hand make fashion. So that's with the clothes, but it also applies to other things like um, the home decor, right? If you go into a Jamaican home, even in the inner city, and I might even say especially in the inner city, in the ghetto areas, in the really poverty-stricken areas, one thing that you're definitely going to find is the house will be spick and span, most of them. You're going to have some persons who fall short of it, yes, but it seems as if the more poverty stricken, the more they take pride in at least making sure that their home is presentable. And it's the bare essentials, that a piece of cloth, for the curtain, or they might knit something and spread it over the couch, or they just find some way, do some craft, put this and this together, go downtown to the wholesale and they buy the figurines and they buy the artificial flowers and they just do what they can. And by the time they're finished, it is something to speak about. As my grandma always said, this is one of her favorite sayings. Whenever she saw something that she really loved and it really amazed her, she said, boy, it's something to speak about. When you enter a Jamaican home, especially a poor home, you're going to be amazed at how we turn over and make fashion. We take the bare essentials and we just put it together in such a way. We're very resourceful people. When you visit the craft markets here, you will see we use all kinds of natural material, natural fibers, things that people discard. The coconut shells, we make jewelry out of coconut shells. The beads, we make all manner of art and craft out of it. Now, other people do this, of course, right? Everybody has their art, their craft work, and so on. But I can only speak for what I know from my people. This is how we are. So the things that the rich person might discard, we will take it, we'll take the calabash or the gourd and we'll carve things into it, right? Even a broom, sometimes you can't even afford a broom to sweep your yard. You know what we used to sweep? The rosemary. The rosemary herb that which grows wild in the bushes. We bundle it together and use that. When that sweep your yard, it looks spick and span. All right. So we are resourceful people. And hey, listen, I'm saying Jamaicans, but we are descended from Africans, and this is part of what we have given to the world, our resourcefulness, our ability to make something out of nothing. Even the soul food, what we call soul food, which we know is detrimental. It brings on the diabetes and it brings on the hypertension. But listen, that came out of crap. The chitlins, which our ancestors, those were the innards, the guts from the animals, which the whites didn't want. And our ancestors squeeze out the muck, squeeze out the crap out of the intestines and scrub it, soak out the crap, boil out the crap, and turn that into a delicacy. We do that with food all the time because remember, our ancestors, when they were under severe conditions of slavery, they were thrown the scraps, they were thrown the peels. We took the peels and we boil them down and we make them into jams. We make them into these foods that, yes, they weren't the best foods, but it's like we turned the best. We turned the worst into the best it could be. When we think of language, the very language, some words we are very good at taking the worst, taking words that were meant to destroy us, words that were meant to put us down. And we take those words and transform those words to know the very same people want to take those words and use them in the positive light that we have transformed them into. We take the word nigger and we transform it from a derogatory thing to a communal thing, a brotherly thing. where everybody know want to be your nigga. Everybody want to be your nigga because if he's your nigga, he's your best man. He's your bona fide ride or die if he's your nigga. But what was that word? When they tossed it at us, it was what? Derogatory, shameful, despicable. We take these things, even the word bad. We take the word bad and we turn it into the best. Everybody wants to be bad. Don't you want to be bad? Don't you want to be the baddest nigga? That is us turning we on make fashion. We turn we on make fashion. We are known for taking the very worst and making it beautiful. So yes, I'm harping about Jamaican, but trust and believe. I know that this is something that is integral to our people, our African people, everywhere in the diaspora. I am certain you can vouch whether you're from Trinidad, you're from Barbados, you're from New Orleans, you're from wherever African people have settled. I am sure you can vouch for the fact that we turn miracles out of the worst conditions. We take things that are discarded and we turn it into things that people are vying for, people are trying to claim or reclaim after we have touched it. That's the magic that we are. That's the magic that we are, right? So it's not something that we use lightly. When you say Tonya and make fashion is not something to take lightly, it is indicative of our magic, sheer, plain, undiluted magic that is Black people. The next saying is when you say, Jamaicans have a saying, you fat in your eye or you fat in your face. It's two different sayings, but I'm gonna do them together because they are similar, right? So when you say, oh, I'm just a fat in my eye. So literally you can think, okay, your eyes literally getting fatter. But it's mainly figurative because what we mean is we're just looking, we're just, and especially if that's all you can do. So usually it's used in the sense of, well, I'm just fattening my eyes. I can't do any better. Usually it's because we said the heart is willing, but the pocket is weak, right? You have the best of intentions. You want to go and buy stuff for yourself and for your loved ones, especially like Christmas time, right? Your window shopping, but you just have fat in your eyes. You don't have any spending power. The heart is very, very willing, but the pocket is weak. So all you can do is fatten your eyes, take in all that there is to see, but you can't do anything else. You can't touch the people and things because you don't have any money to pay for it. And you're very dainty as you go because you don't want to break anything because you don't have no money to buy it if you break it, right? So you want to be a part of the festivities. You don't have the spending power, but you still want to be a part of these festivities. So you go, you make your presence be felt, and you fatten your eyes. Or maybe you just go sightseeing, you're off. I used to love when I was little. So my father had a white Datsun van, right? And he was the designated person to take us out for rides into the countryside. We lived in Red Hills, which is in the parish of St. Andrew, but it's pretty much town, it's very close to Kingston. So even though it's rural, St. Andrew is still considered itself. So you live in town, very close, about 10 miles from Kingston. So it was our one of the things we really looked forward to whenever we heard that we were going for a ride in the country. And my father had this white Datsun van where you could take off. It had a cover for the back, but you could remove the cover. And so they would pack us up in the back of the van as kids, we'd be off to St. Mary to visit relatives, or off to St. Anne, where my dad's relatives came from, or off to St. Elizabeth, way down in the western Jamaica. That's where my mom's relatives came from. And we would look forward to it because when we went into the country, your power. I live on an island, right? So Jamaica is this beautiful, gorgeous island, and you would pass. Especially if you went to the north coast. So there would be the sea right along the stretch, the coast all the way along the north, or you drive through the hills. If you were going from where we were before you get to the coast, you'd be driving through this lush. Oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous. The mountainside, the vista from Kingston through St. Catherine into St. Anne is just absolutely gorgeous. Or if you're going through Junction to St. Mary, just breathtaking. You should really visit Jamaica and visit these places. Go through Fern Gully, go on the north coast, and we looked forward to these trips. We didn't have much spending power. We pretty much were going into the country to get ground provisions and coconuts and whatever our relatives grew in these areas. But the journey we really fatten our eyes. And usually when we're coming back, because it would be a day trip, so it's gonna take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to go. And then we spend a little time with their relatives and you're picking this and picking that and getting the produce together and packing them up. So by the time we're heading back to town, it's dark, right? But even that is a sight to behold because you see all the lights, and especially if you're on the hills, you'd be looking down in the valley at the lights. Oh my God. We really fattened our eyes on those trips, and it's something we look forward to. Another way you can think of to fatten your eyes, usually, the old folks, your grandma, grandpa, or great grandma, great grandpa, when they get to a certain age, it's like they have resigned themselves, even their chores, even their hobbies. They might not even indulge in their hobbies anymore. So pretty much their day is spent. You just put them on the veranda, maybe in their rocking chair or in their favorite chair, and they just sit and they fatten their eyes. They watch everybody going by. Um, they fatten their eyes. That's all that's life has been reduced to fattening your eyes. You put them out on the veranda, maybe have their shawl wrapped around them and they rock. And then whoever is passing, you hail them. How they do, grandma, or hey, Mas, Joe, or whatever. This is part of country life. This is a part of rural life in Jamaica. You'd see grandma or grandpa on the veranda talking or shelling gungo peas, or just looking out at those who are passing, and you always hail, say good evening. This is part of rural life, and me, I'm very nostalgic. I'm a very sentimental person when it comes to my Jamaican roots and the old time days and our customs. I'm just all for that. It makes me just really bubbly inside, right? So where I grew up in Red Hills, there's this place called Lookout, and you would go there to fatten your eyes. Whether you go with your friends or for the older folks, you went with your lover. It was a very popular place for lovers to go, especially in the night, because you could see all the lights of Kingston below. So St. Red Hills is on the hills in St. Andrew. And like I said, Kingston wasn't far, so you could see below on the plains all the lights stretching the entire breadth of Kingston and going over into other parishes, and it is spectacular. The other day, a friend of mine took me back to Red Hills just to see, where to, because I hadn't been there in about 30 years. And I was always yapping about Red Hills, Red Hills, Red Hills. And he one day I just got up and he said, "Let's go." And we went up there and I looked back at lookouts, and even though we went in the day, you could see there's a thing about looking at it in the day, and there's a thing about looking at it in the night, right? So yeah, there sometimes to fatten your eyes is all you can do, but it plays its role because you get to see the sights. You also get to study people. If you have that leisure to sit and take it all in, you get to study people, you get to study life, you get to reflect. All right. So the other part of that, to fatten your face. So when a Jamaican say, "Boy, you fatten your face, man," that one means to eat, especially to overeat, right? When you're just there eating, especially when you're at somebody else's house and you're just eating. So you would be described as fattening your face. So you have to make the distinction between when you fatten your eyes and when you fatten your face. All right. So fattening the face, eating. Fattening your eyes, you're going sightseeing, you're going window shopping, you're there for the ride, you're enjoying. Because usually the case is you can't really do any better because the pocket is weak. So the last one that we look at is we have this saying where it says, "Is me alone and God." So usually it's a kind of lament when you hear a Jamaican say, "Boy, just me alone and God, me alone and God do it," or "Me alone and God, me find myself." It's like they're giving you the sense of being abandoned in the wilderness, and it's just you and your creator, or basically you alone, but because it's you alone, the creator is everywhere. So it's just you and the creator, me alone and God. And it's usually a kind of lament, like a pity party kind of thing. You want people to pity you, right? Because if it's you alone do it and you don't mind doing it, then that's okay. You don't need to announce it. And you see, oftentimes, especially raising kids, single parents raising kids, they are literally single handedly raising them. A lot of times, you see a single parent, they are literally single handedly raising that child. The other parent, for whatever reason, is no longer in the child's life. And sadly, this is usually the case, right? So you alone and God raise a child. You get no financial assistance or emotional or physical, no other kind of assistance from the other person. And the thing about this is the thing that I don't like, especially um, in most cases, it's the male, it's the father who abandons the child. That's just the way it is. But I don't like when the mother now is going to throw words at the child because of the actions of the father. You look like your worthless papa, or you never get no help from your papa. I don't like those kind of things. I'm not saying you should pretend that the father is supporting the child when he isn't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't throw harsh words at the child because of the absence or the wrongdoing of the father. And it goes for the mother as well. If it's a man raising a child on his own, don't try to, as we said, turn the child's mind against that parent, right? But remember, when all is said and done, we really are on this journey of life alone. We came here alone. Even if you were a twin or a triplet or a quadruplet, you came into this world alone. Trust and believe. You are going to leave this world alone. Nobody can come with you. It's your journey. We're together, but each of us is alone. And the sooner you realize that and the sooner you embrace that and understand that you can be alone without being lonely, that's the clincher. Being alone doesn't necessarily mean being lonely. You can be alone and totally okay, totally at peace, totally enjoying yourself. I am a loner. I'm a social person, but I'm a loner at heart. I'm an introvert at heart. I can socialize, I can stand my ground in public, I can speak and let my voice be heard and take a stand and be articulate, all of that in public. I'm not at all intimidated by public spaces. But at the same time, I am an introvert. I prefer quiet. I prefer introspection. I prefer to be alone. I enjoy my own company. One of my very favorite singers, Joan Armatrading, did the song "Me, Myself, I." Me, myself, I. Where she's basically reiterating that she's a loner and she doesn't mind. She enjoys her own company. Another of my favorite singing groups is Shy Lights. They also did this song, a one-man band. A one-man band plays all alone. He plays to a song of his own, right? These kind of songs appeal to me because I am a loner. And I don't feel any kind of way when I'm alone. I understand that there are persons who don't ever want to be alone. They can't sleep by themselves. They don't want to be in a room by themselves. They don't want to be standing anywhere by themselves. They hate their own company. And it's not always just because they're more outgoing, they're more social, right? They're more extroverted. It's not always that. Sometimes it's because there are issues they don't want to face. There are issues they don't want to spend the time to resolve. There are accountability issues that they don't want to hold themselves up to. And so they run from that. They run from any encounter with themselves. And they'll never be able to resolve these issues if they keep seeking it in others, seeking the resolution in others. Sometimes we just have to face ourselves. As Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror, talk to him. Don't lament about, oh, it's me alone and God. Yes, sometimes you need to be alone with whatever you conceive God to be. You need that alone time with God, whomever or whatever you conceive him, her, it, them to be. Face yourself, ask yourself some really serious questions and be honest in your responses. Sometimes when we are abandoned, we are deserted, we have to understand that it was because of bad choices that we made, and we have to deal with the consequences of those bad choices and stop trying to shift the blame. We have to own it. Yes, the other person may have contributed to it, they did bad too, but we have to own the fact that We made bad choices. We put ourselves in vulnerable situations. We were naive. We were thoughtless. We were not proactive. We did not try to look more than 5 minutes into the future. We wanted the instant gratification. We have to face these facts and stop trying to shift the blame and make it look like it's always a case of we were abandoned, we were victimized, we were abused. Some of the situations that we find ourselves in, we put ourselves there, right? We put ourselves there. And yes, you may find yourself in a very desolate place. You may find yourself feeling forsaken, lonely, abandoned. But sometimes it's when we are in these situations that we really get to the crunch of who we are, why we are here. It's when you're desolate sometimes that your mission comes home to you. Your purpose in this life and in this world comes home to you when your back is up against the wall, when there's nobody else but God for you to talk to, for you to ask things, for you to listen for the answer from. Because it's really just you. It's your journey. It's just you. Don't run from that. Embrace that. Love yourself. Love your company. You must be able to stand alone, especially when it comes to defending certain principles. You don't need an accomplice. You don't need, sometimes you have to tell yourself, I don't need friends. If it means I have to stand alone on my principle, sometimes your lover will forsake you because of principles that you're standing your ground on. Sometimes your children will forsake you. Your parents will forsake you. Your relatives will forsake you simply because you're standing firm in your principle, and you have to be able to go it alone without lamenting. You must get yourself to the place where, if need be, you can go it alone. It's not the best way to go. It's not the most comfortable way to go. But if need be, you must tell yourself, whatever lifestyle you have, you must be able to defend it. You must be able to defend it. This is mine. I am doing this because I understand what this is about. And if it's me alone, I will do it. It's better with company. We're stronger as a force, a group. We're stronger that way. But if it means me alone, I'll do it, right? So don't be complaining, boy, I just me alone and God. Sometimes it's best that is just you alone and God doing it. And hey, the good thing is, if it's you alone and God do it, guess who's gonna get the commendation when it's done and done properly and done awesomely? You alone and God go and get the credit. You alone and God must get the award and the reward. Think of it that way, right? So don't shy away from being alone, achieving alone, standing your ground alone. All right, so this is Calm. Again, next week we're going to look at 4 more wise Jamaican sayings, and I'm always encouraging you to share with me what are the wise sayings in your neck of the woods. I want to know, because these things excite me. These things, I'm sentimental about them, really nostalgic about them. I have 2 Jamaican channels on YouTube. Go on over and give me some support. So it's Authentic Jamaican Memory Lane. That's one of my channels. And Jamaica Ayawide, that's another of my channels. So go on over and subscribe, give me some love, and I'll see you next week when we talk about more proverbs, more Jamaican proverbs.